A middle school is a school for students older than elementary school, but not yet in high school. The ages covered varies between, and sometimes within, countries. Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, middle school consists of grades 6, 7 and 8. Besides, there is a change in the scenario. Algeria. In Algeria, a middle school includes grades 6 through 10, consisting of students from ages 10 or 11 to 15. Australia. Most regions of Australia do not have middle schools, as students go directly from primary school to secondary school. As an alternate to the middle school model, some secondary schools divided the grades into junior high school and senior high school. In 1996 and 1997, a national conference met to develop what became known as the National Middle Schooling Project, which aimed to develop a common Australian view of early adolescent needs, guiding principles for educators, appropriate strategies to foster positive adolescent learning. The first middle school established in Australia was the Armadale School in Armadale. Schools have since followed this trend, such as the King's School. The Northern Territory has introduced a three-tier system featuring middle schools for years 7 to 9 and high school year 10 to 12. Many schools across Queensland have introduced a middle school tier within the schools. The middle schools cover the grades, years 5 to 8. On the Gold Coast, Upper Coomera State College has 3 sub-schools: junior school, middle school and senior school. Brazil. In Brazil, middle school is a mandatory stage that precedes high school called Ensino Fundamental 2, consisting of grades 6 to 9, ages 11 to 14. Canada. In Canada, the terms middle school and junior high school are both used, depending on which grades the school caters to. Junior high schools tend to only include grades 7, 8, and 9, whereas middle schools are usually grades 6 to 8 or only grades 7 and 8, varying from area to area and also according to population versus building capacity. Another common model is grades 5 to 8. Alberta, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island junior high schools include only grades 7 to 9, with the first year of high school traditionally being grade 10. In some places, students go from elementary school to secondary school. Quebec uses a grade system that is different from those of the other provinces. The secondary level has 5 grades, starting after elementary grade 6. These are called Secondary I to Secondary V. People's Republic of China. In the People's Republic of China, middle school has 2 stages: junior stage and senior stage. The junior stage education is the last 3 years of 9-year compulsory education for all young citizens, while the senior stage education is optional, but considered as a critical preparation for college education. Some middle schools have both stages while some have either of them. The admissions for most students to enroll in senior middle schools from junior stage are on the basis of the scores that they get in senior middle school entrance exam, which are held by local governments. Other students may avoid the exam based on the distinctive talents like athletics or excellent daily performance in junior stage. Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, after completing the 9-year elementary school, a student may apply for high school. Students have the opportunity to enroll in high school from grade 5 or grade 7 of elementary school, spending 8 or 6 years respectively at high school that otherwise takes 4 years. Thus, they can spend 5 years in elementary school, followed by 8 in high school. The first 4 years of 8-year study program at high school are comparable with junior high school. Gymnasium focuses on a more advanced advanced academic approach to education. All other types of high schools except gymnasiums and conservatories accept only students that finish grade 9. Egypt. In Egypt, middle school precedes high school. It is called the preparatory stage and consists of 3 phases. First, preparatory, in which students study more subjects than primary with different branches. For instance, algebra and geometry are taught instead of mathematics. Quote, in the second preparatory phase, students study science, geography, the history of Egypt starting with Pharaonic history, including Coptic history, Islamic history, and concluding with modern history. The students are taught 2 languages, Arabic and English. Middle school lasts for 3 years. France. In France, the equivalent period to middle school is college, which lasts 4 years from the 6e to the 3e, accommodating pupils aged between 11 and 15. Upon completion of the latter, students are awarded a brevet des colleges if they obtain a certain amount of points on a series of tests in various subjects and oral examinations. They can then enter high school, which lasts 3 years from the seconde to the terminale until the baccalaureate, and during which they can choose a general or a professional field of study. Gibraltar. There are 4 middle schools in Gibraltar, following the English model of middle-deemed primary schools accommodating pupils aged between 8 and 12. The schools were opened in 1972 when the government introduced comprehensive education in the country. India. CBSE classifies middle school as a combination of lower and upper primary. There are other central boards, councils such as CISEE. Each state has its own state board. Each has its own standards, which might be different from the central boards. In some institutions, providing education for 5th to 10th are known as secondary school. Indonesia. In Indonesia, middle school covers ages 12 to 15 and class 7 to class 9. Although compulsory education ends at junior high, most pursue higher education. There are around 22,000 middle schools in Indonesia with a balanced ownership between public and private sector. Iran. Iran calls middle school secondary school, which caters to children between the ages 13 and 16, i.e., 7th, 8th and 9th grade. Israel. In Israel, middle school covers ages 12 to 15. For the 7th grade to the 9th. Japan. Junior high schools serve ages 12 through 15. Italy. In Italy, the equivalent is the Scuola Secondaria di Primo Grado, formally and commonly called middle-lower school, often shortened to middle school. When the Scuola Secondaria di Secondo Grado, the equivalent of high school, was formerly called middle-higher school, commonly called superiore. The middle school lasts 3 years from the student age of 11 to age 14. Since 2009, after Gelmini reform, the middle school was renamed Scuola Secondaria di Primo Grado. Lebanon. In Lebanon, middle school or intermediate school consists of grades 7, 8, and 9. At the end of 9th grade, the student is given the National Diploma Examination. Malaysia. In Malaysia, preschools are meant for children from 5 to 6 years old. 7 to 12-year-old kids attend primary school, elementary school from Standard 1 to Standard 6. There are 3 types of schooling depending on the child's spoken language: Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. 13 to 17-year-old students study in secondary school, high school. These schools are numbered from Form 1 to Form 5. There is also an optional Form 6. This is divided into Lower Form 6 and Upper Form 6. Students may choose to study other equivalent courses instead of taking Form 6 classes. Form 1 to 3 students are called lower secondary students and Form 4 to 6 are called upper secondary students. There are 3 major exams. 1. Standard 6. 5 subjects for Malay schools and 7 subjects for Chinese and Tamil schools. 2. Form 3. 7 subjects for non-Muslim students and 8 subjects for Muslim students, and 3. Form 5. O-level equivalent subjects varying, according to the elective and extra subjects chosen by the students. Mexico. In Mexico, the middle school system is called secundaria and usually comprises 3 years, grades 7 to 9. It is completed after primaria and before preparatoria bachillerato. New Zealand. In New Zealand, middle schools are known as intermediate schools. They generally cover years 7 and 8. Students are generally aged between 10 and 13. There are full primary schools which also contain year 7 and 8 with students continuing to high school at year 9. Some high schools also include years 7 and 8. In the last decade there has been an increased interest in middle schooling, with at least 7 schools offering education to this age group, opening around the country in Auckland, Cambridge, Hamilton, Christchurch and Upper Hutt. Pakistan. In Pakistan, the middle school is a combination of lower and upper primary, in some institutions, providing education for 5th to 10th are known as secondary school. Philippines. There is no middle school in the Philippines, but middle school in the Philippines is called to be now as junior high school, which starts in the 7th grade to 10th grade. It often starts at the age of 12 to the age of 16. Poland. Middle school in Poland, called gimnazjum, was first introduced in 1932. The education was intended for pupils of at least 12 years of age and lasted 4 years. Middle schools were part of the educational system until the reform of 1947, except during World War II. The middle schools were reinstated in Poland in 1999, now lasting 3 years after 6 years of primary school. Pupils entering gymnasium are usually 13 years old. Middle school is compulsory for all students, and it is also the final stage of mandatory education. In the final year, students take a standardized test to evaluate their academic skills. Higher scorers in the test are allowed first pick of school if they want to continue their education, which is encouraged. Portugal. In Portugal, the middle school is known as second and third cycles of basic education. It comprises the 5th till 9th year of compulsory education for children between 10 and 15 years old. After the education reform of 1986, the former preparatory school (Alisu) became part of basic education. Basic education now includes first cycle, a former primary education, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Second cycle, former preparatory education, 5th year, 6th year. Third cycle, former preparatory education, 7th year, 8th year, 9th year. Romania. Middle school in Romania, or gymnasium, includes grades 5 to 8. At the end of the 8th grade, students take an written exam that counts for 75% of the average needed to enroll in high school. Also, because of a new law, you cannot finish middle school and attend high school if you receive a lower grade than 5 in the exams. Russia. Middle school in Russia covers grades 5 to 9, and is a natural continuation of primary school activities. Primary school lessons are taught by a handful of teachers. Most are covered by one of them, and more specific areas such as English or gym may have dedicated teachers. The transition to middle school changes that to a one-teacher per course model, where teachers stay in their classrooms and pupils change rooms during breaks. Examples of courses include mathematics, visual arts, Russian language, foreign language, history, literature, geography, biology, computer science, chemistry, social theory. The education process is done in numbered quarters, with the first quarter covering September and October, second quarter November and December, third quarter going from mid-January to mid-March, fourth quarter covering April and May. There are 1 week-long holidays between quarters 1 and 2 as well as 3 and 4, somewhat longer holidays between quarters 2 and 3 to allow for New Year festivities, and a 3-month break between the years. At the end of middle school, most people stay in school for 2 more years and get a certificate allowing them to pursue university, but some switch to vocational technical schools. Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, middle school includes grades 7 through 9, consisting of students from ages 12 to 15. Singapore. In Singapore, middle school is usually referred to as secondary school. Students start secondary school after completing primary school at the age of 13, and to 16 or 17 courses. Students from the special and express courses take the GCE O-levels after 4 years at the end of secondary education, and students from the normal courses additionally take the GCE N-level examinations after 4 years before the O-levels. After completing secondary school, students move on to pre-tertiary education. Somalia. In Somalia, middle school, identified as intermediate school, is the 4 years between secondary school and primary school. Pupils start middle school from form as referred to in Somalia at year 5 and finish it at year 8. Students start middle school from the age of 11, and finish it when they're 14-15. Subjects which middle school pupils take are Somali, Arabic, English, religion, science, geography, history, maths, textiles, art and design, physical education and sometimes music. In some middle schools, it is obligatory to study Italian. South Korea. In South Korea, a middle school is called the Younghakgo, which includes grades 7 through 9. Taiwan. Junior high schools in Taiwan were originally called primary middle school. However, in August 1968, they were renamed Nationals Middle School, often translated junior high, when they became free of charge and compulsory. Private middle school nowadays are still called primary middle school. Taiwanese students older than 12 normally attend junior high school. Accompanied with the switch from junior high to middle school was the cancellation of entrance examination needed to enter middle school. Tunisia and Morocco. In Tunisia and Morocco, a middle school includes grades 7 through 9, consisting of students from ages 12 to 15. Countries of former Yugoslavia. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Slovenia, Republic of Macedonia, the countries of former Yugoslavia. Srednja škola, literally middle school, refers to educational institutions for ages between 14 and 18, and lasts 3 to 4 years following elementary school. Gymnasiums are the most prestigious type of middle school in these countries. The final 4 years of elementary school are actually what would be called junior high school in the USA. Students have up to 12 to 15 different subjects in each school year. For example, 7th and 8th grade students do not have one subject called science but 3 separate subjects called chemistry, physics and biology. United Kingdom. England. In England, local education authorities introduced middle schools in the 1960s and 1970s. The notion of middle schools was mooted by the Plowden Report of 1967, which proposed a change to a 3-tier model including first schools for children aged between 4 and 7, middle schools for 7 to 11-year-olds, and then upper high schools for 11 to 16-year-olds. Some authorities introduced middle schools for ideological reasons, in line with the report, while others did so for more pragmatic reasons relating to the raising of the school leaving age in compulsory education to 16, or to introduce a comprehensive system Different authorities introduced different age-range schools, although in the main, 3 models were used: 4 to 6 first schools, followed by 7 to 11 middle schools, as suggested by Ploden; 5 to 9 first schools, followed by 9 to 13 middle schools; 5 to 10 first schools, followed by 10 to 13 middle schools, or intermediate schools. In many areas, primary school rather than first school was used to denote the first tier. In addition, some schools were provided as combined schools, catering for pupils in the 5 to 12 age range as a combined first and middle school. Around 2000 middle and combined schools were in place in the early 1980s. However, that number began to fall in the later 1980s with the introduction of the national curriculum. The new curriculum's splits in key stages at age 11 encouraged the majority of local education authorities to return to a 2-tier system of primary and secondary schools. There are now fewer than 150 middle schools still operational in the United Kingdom, meaning that approximately 90% of middle schools have closed or reverted to primary school status since 1980. The system of 8 to 12 middle schools has fallen into complete disuse. Under current legislation, all middle schools must be deemed either primary or secondary. Thus, schools which have more primary year groups than KS3 or KS4 are termed deemed primaries or middles deemed primaries, while those with more secondary-aged pupils, or with pupils in Y11 are termed deemed secondaries or middles deemed secondaries. For statistical purposes, such schools are often included under primary and secondary categories, as deemed. Notably, most schools also follow teaching patterns in line with their deemed status, with most deemed primary schools offering a primary-style curriculum taught by one class teacher, and most deemed secondary schools adopting a more specialist-centered approach. Legally, all-through schools are also considered middle schools, although they are rarely referred to as such. Some middle schools still exist in various areas of England. They are supported by the National Middle Schools Forum. A list of middle schools in England is available. Scotland. In Scotland, a similar system to the English one was trialled in Grangemouth Middle Schools, Falkirk between 1975 and 1987. The label of junior high school is used for some through schools in Orkney and Shetland which cater for pupils from 5 up to the age of 14, at which point they transfer to a nearby secondary school. Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, in the Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon District Council area in County Armagh, the Dixon Plan operates, whereby pupils attend a primary school from ages 4 to 10, a junior high school from 11 to 14, and a senior high school or grammar school from 14 to 19. This is not dissimilar to the middle school system. United States. Historically, in the United States, local public control have allowed for some variation in the organization of schools. Elementary school includes kindergarten through 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, or 6th grade. In some school districts, intermediate school includes 4th grade, 5th grade, or 6th grade. In some intermediate schools, it starts in 4th or 5th. Basic subjects are taught in elementary school, and students often remain in one classroom throughout the school day, except for physical education, library, music, and art classes. There were in 2001 about 3.6 million children in each grade in the United States. Typically, middle school is 6th through 8th grade, though in some schools, it starts in 7th or 5th. Junior high usually includes only 7th, 8th, and sometimes 9th grades. The range defined by either is often based on demographic factors, such as an increase or decrease in the relative numbers of younger or older students, with the aim of maintaining stable school populations. At this time, students are given more independence, moving to different classrooms for different subjects, and being allowed to choose some of the class subjects. Usually, starting in 9th grade, grades become part of a student's official transcript. The middle school format has now replaced the junior high format by a ratio of about 10:1 in the United States, but at least 2 school districts had incorporated both systems in 2010. The junior high school concept was introduced in 1909 in Columbus, Ohio. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, most American elementary schools had grades 1 through 8. As time passed, the junior high school concept increased quickly as systems modernized buildings and curriculum. This expansion continued through the 1960s. John Wiles, author of Developing Successful K-8 Schools, A Principal's Guide, said that major problem for the original model was the inclusion of the 9th grade, because of the lack of instructional flexibility, due to the requirement of having to earn high school credits in the 9th grade, and that the fully adolescent 9th grader in junior high school did not seem to belong with the students experiencing the onset of puberty. Quote, "The new middle school model began to appear in the mid-1960s. Wiles said, at first, it was difficult to determine the difference between a junior high school and a middle school. But as the middle school became established, the differences became more pronounced. Junior high schools were created for bridging the gap between the elementary and the high school, an emphasis credited to Charles W. Eliot. The faculty is organized into academic departments that operate more or less independently of one another. Uruguay. In Uruguay, the public middle school consists of 2 stages, one mandatory called basic cycle or first cycle. This consists of 3 years, ages 12-13, 13-14 and 14-15, and one optional called second cycle, ages 15-16, 16-17 and 17-18. The second cycle is divided into 4 options in the 5th grade: human sciences, biological, scientific, and arts, and 7 options in the 6th and last grade: law or economy, medicine or agronomy, architecture or engineering, and arts. Both of the stages are commonly known as Liceo. Middle school starts at grade 6 and ends at grade 8. Venezuela. In Venezuela, public middle schools have a different Spanish name than private schools. The school system includes a preparatory year before first grade, so nominal grade levels are offset when compared to other countries. Middle schools are from 7th grade to 11th grade, which is equivalent to 12th grade. In some institutions called technical schools, there is an extra grade for those who want to graduate as middle technician in a certain area. This education would allow them to be hired at a higher level or get introduced more easily into a college career. There is a college test from main universities of the country. The score on this test might allow them to more quickly obtain a spot within an institution. Students with high qualifications during the high school have more chances to have the spot.